Welcome to day 32 of 50 Days of Fitness. I just earned my first coffee for the morning, and I guess, it was kind of funny. I thought, I feel kind of funny because I'm in a polo shirt, but the truth of the matter is that maybe I'm not in the polo shirt when I'm doing these videos very much, but it's not unusual for me to be fully dressed, not in gym clothes, for the day, because these little sessions that we're doing are so small. It's not like I, break out into a big sweat. Sometimes I get a little bit, but not that much. And so you can do it just kind of as part of your day. I mean, you don't necessarily have to change into gym clothes or anything like that to do it. So tomorrow is Sunday, so tomorrow we're going to bump up again. So that means that this week I'm almost done. I did my first set this morning. I have 3 more sets to get in today. Yesterday was kind of funny because I lost count. I don't know why I lost count, but I did, and so I wanted to make sure that I'd gotten 4 in. But I think I did 5, but I'm not sure. So, but at least I got in my 4. I know that for a fact, but I think I got in 5. So that means I've had, today, when I finish up today, a full week at the new regimen that I started last week, and so they're taking, it's about 5 minutes. And so again, I start my coffee, and while my coffee is going in the Keurig, I start knocking them out. The coffee is done in about 2.5, 3 minutes, and I'm done with everything in about 5 minutes. And so it barely impacts the day. So that's going pretty well. And tomorrow will be day 33, which means that tomorrow we'll be officially at 2/3 of the way through. So like I said, it's gonna, and I am starting to notice changes in my clothes, which I didn't really expect, but I am. I have like some extra large shirts that I've been wearing, and they're too loose, and I have some things like I typically wear. I get cold. I hate to be cold. I should be living in Florida or the Caribbean somewhere, because I really hate being cold. But I typically wear like a beater undershirt under my clothes, and my beater undershirt is starting to feel tight a little bit in my chest again, which was a surprise because I didn't really think that I was having much change in my chest yet. But I guess the bottom line is I can tell I am still weighing in at 200 pounds. So that's 3 days in a row I've weighed in at 200 pounds, which again, I'm really surprised at that. But maybe it'll stay there until the official weigh-in on Tuesday. We'll see. I wanted to, but I was just kind of surprised. And the sugar fast is, I was going to say I was going to say I don't ever have cravings anymore, but that's not true. And some of the cravings have been weird things. I have, like chocolate. That one makes sense. But other things like craving Diet Coke and craving, certain foods, and that's a little weird. So, honestly, this is so far. We're not quite 2/3 of the way through, and I'll admit the first week or two seemed really slow, but this is really more than I really expected to achieve in the entire 50 days. We'll see where we end up here. So far, that's kind of the progress. That's kind of what's going on. So one of the things I think that is hard about these things is consistency. And I think that that's one of the most important things. And kind of another side of that same coin is discipline. And I would say I'm kind of an unusual person because I can be very focused and very disciplined on some things and just seem to be completely unable to have any discipline at all on other things. And I can't tell you why I can do it for some things and not others. I mean, I don't know. It is funny because when I was doing a lot of triathlon training and endurance sports training, at that time, I was doing 100 plus mile bike rides and 2, or more mile swims and and marathons and, all kinds of things. And that got to where, that was just sort of second nature. But I will say that in the training, that's one of the things is to be successful at that, you have to have consistency and discipline to do it. And so my friend Andrew Huberman, who I don't know, who I've mentioned a few times here, he has done some podcasts on discipline and developing discipline. He's interviewed David Goggins. I'm sure you guys all know who David Goggins is. And Andrew Huberman, he's an athlete too, although I don't think he does any kind of endurance sports. He does a lot of weightlifting, and I know he goes for walks. I think he goes for runs, kind of shorter runs, those kinds of things. I think. But he, that's one of the things he studies. He's a professor in California, and that's one of the things he studies. And so one of the things that he said, he's like, developing that discipline and developing that consistency, he's like, one of the things you have to do is like, you need to learn to love the process and let the process be your reward rather than the goal. And let me see if I can explain that a little bit better. So, if you focus, if your reward, like, we're here, I'm losing weight, I'm hopefully getting back in shape and all those things. If my reward is the goal of hitting a certain weight, after you achieve that weight, then you no longer get any, positive reinforcement for it. And so not only do you generally not continue to do the things that got you there, most of the time you slip back. Most of the time and in fact, you are less motivated to do it in the future. But if you can focus on making your reward the training for that, then in that case, it continues, and those people generally don't slide back. And so I don't know if I did a very good job explaining that, but in essence, it's saying what you've heard so many people say. It's like, embrace the suck, embrace the pain, think of that as your reward. The saying that they say, the Marines say about pain is weakness leaving the body. Those kinds of things, that's the kind of stuff that builds your discipline. And so, one of the things that Andrew said in his podcast, he's like, you kind of have to lie to yourself at first. When you're starting to feel the pain, the whatever, from the exertion, and, you have to kind of say to yourself, man, I love this. God, this is amazing. This is this is great. I'm making progress here. This is wonderful. And so in doing that, you can actually train yourself. You can teach your brain and your body to enjoy the training. And so when you begin to enjoy the training, you'll do that kind of forever. And so you can actually, one of the things he said, he's like, you're kind of lying to yourself at first. I mean, you are. But you have to go through that. And after you train yourself that way, it will become your positive reinforcement. And that's how you build extreme discipline. And I'm going to say, as someone who's done, I've actually done a lot of endurance sports. That really rings true. It starts out, I know, like when I would go running and things, and maybe we'll talk about running as a separate thing sometime, but it almost always, no matter how much I'd been running, it almost always, the first 10 minutes just were miserable. They were miserable. And then all at once, it's like, there it is. Now, and then it was just great the rest of the way through. And I would say that was true for everything. You get in and you start swimming or you start biking. And, well, I don't know, I always kind of like the bike. but that, anyway, when you're doing these things, we have to get to where we're enjoying the process more than focusing on the goal. And if we do that, then we can build the discipline. Hopefully, here I am, I'm preaching, so, if I slip, I'm going to look really bad. but if we focus on our process and make that the thing that we get our positive reinforcement from, then we can develop the discipline to keep that up. So if you want to have a more active lifestyle, rather than, your goal being, I'm going to go out and run a 5K, which is a great thing to do, don't get me wrong, but maybe a better goal for consistency would be, I'm going to try to run twice a week and just work on that. So, all right. When we started, I was thinking I was going to be kind of light, and here I am running over again. So we're going to call it a day. That's it for building discipline, and that's it for 32 days of fitness, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow for day 33 when we hit the 2/3 mark. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Take care.